Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Cal's Kaleidoscope, where the simple turn of a kaleidoscope can change your perspective. Today's video is on Black history in Northern New York, and I'm going to be showing you some of the destinations that are noteworthy in this area for Black history. We're going to start in Plattsburgh, head down to Keeseville, and then up towards Beartown. Please note this map is available in the link below if you'd like to visit any of these locations yourself. Before we get too far along in this video, I'd just like to note that I am not a historian. I'm just a local from the area who's interested in Black history and wanted to share a little bit of it with all of you. So on that note, I have linked below all the resources I used to help me make this video, and those are from credible sources, so you can ensure that this video does have some basis of fact. And with that disclaimer stated, we are headed to our first location, sometimes known as the courthouse, I believe, but it is basically the hub of all the locations of downtown Plattsburgh. This is where our probation center is, our Clinton County Health Department, the DMV, pretty much everything you need in one location. That's where we're headed, and there's a mural there that features the Underground Railroad. So that's what we're going to see first. I decided to show these clips driving from place to place so you could get an idea of the proximity from one destination to the next and to emphasize the impact of Black history throughout the North Country. We have reached our first destination, which is a mural just outside of Plattsburgh's hub for public services. This is where our DMV is, the probation office, the health department, and notably where people in Plattsburgh vote every year. And I'm showing an overview of the entire mural, which demonstrates the history of Plattsburgh and the surrounding area. I just want to note that this mural was constructed by local high school students, so you will see some variance in the artistic ability in the tiles, but overall I think it's a very impressive mural that does show some of the great history from this area. I am showing a close-up of the section of the mural that depicts the Underground Railroad, which if you're not from the US, you might not know that's a network of secret routes and safe houses used by enslaved African Americans to escape into free states and Canada. Being one of the most northern states, New York played a significant part in the Underground Railroad, and an interesting fact is that migrants used a quiet dirt road in Champlain, just north of Plattsburgh, to go over the border and attempt to seek asylum in Canada as recently as 2017. This just goes to show the lasting impact of the Underground Railroad in northern New York. On our way to our next destination, you can see the McDonough-Plattsburgh Monument, which has an eagle on the top. I should note that Plattsburgh has initiated a mural project to beautify downtown and attract tourists, as well as to further their diversity and equity goals. You can see on the right another mural, and as we're driving along, there will be a few more. They will likely continue to pop up as a way to honor our history and make downtown a better place to be. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for watching this video and learning more about the history in Northern New York. If you do like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up because it really does support my channel. This is definitely my favorite stop on this route at the mural of the U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Michael P. Anderson, who was born in Plattsburgh, New York. This is the most recent mural in the Plattsburgh beautification project that was finished in 2020. You can see an exhibit on Michael Anderson at the Plattsburgh Air Force Base Museum, which we will not be stopping at today. He was one of 19 selected out of 2,962 applicants to NASA. One of the co-founders of the Plattsburgh Outside Art Project noted that she really hopes that this mural will inspire a new generation of stargazers and said that STEAM is for everyone. On our way to our next destination, I wanted to take a little detour because I'd be remiss to not mention the role of Lake Champlain in Black history in northern New York. Since slavery was abolished in Vermont in 1777, before it was abolished in New York State, enslaved people attempted to gain freedom by crossing the lake from New York to Vermont via steamboat. Here are just some close-up impressions of Lake Champlain. We're looking over at Vermont's mountains. Vermont is the Green Mountain State, and if you didn't know, New York is the Blue Mountain State. Here we're crossing over the bridge of Sable Chasm, and this is a tourist destination in northern New York that many people come to visit, and it's a natural phenomenon. And to our right, we just passed the museum that is our next destination, which is the Underground Railroad Museum. We have arrived at the North Star Underground Railroad Museum. Unfortunately, the museum is closed due to the current circumstances, but it's celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, and their team is working to create a virtual museum experience. There's a chance the museum will open in the summer, utilizing outdoor space, but until then, they also have books, games, and puzzles that engage children in this history on their website. I wanted to share a quote that was in the same article that I cited for the museum closure information. It's from John Youngblood, a professor at Potsdam University. He said, "The situation in the North was a lot more unwelcoming to African Americans than we typically think of. The fugitive slave laws were very much practiced here, so it wasn't a safe space." This quote demonstrates that while the Underground Railroad was certainly a chance for freedom for enslaved people, it was still very dangerous, and Northern New Yorkers played a role in both aiding and obstructing enslaved people on their path toward freedom. In this clip, we are passing a number of apple orchards, which are a significant source of income and a big part of agriculture in Northern New York to this day. I'm mentioning this because each year Jamaican people come to the North Country to pick apples at various orchards and thus are significant contributors to the success of our orchards. Notably, Shazy has the largest Macintosh apple orchard in the world. We are headed toward the Stephen Keese Smith Farm, where enslaved people were hidden in the 1850s and 1860s. We have arrived at the Stephen Keese Smith Farm. This building once housed enslaved people and is being restored through a number of projects. There's a stone-walled room in the lower level where runaways likely hid. A quote from Smith describing this area is, quote, "I had large buildings and concealed the Negroes in them. I kept them, fed them, often gave them shoes and clothing. I presume I have spent $1,000 for them in one way and another. There were stations at Albany, Troy, Glens Falls, and then here in Peru." Just up the road, about 30 seconds from where we just were, is just the plaque that shows that this is the homestead, and I believe their home is still inhabited. Heading over to the center of a town named Keeseville, a little bit from the Stephen Keese Smith farm, there's a plaque from the 1950s that marks a station where enslaved people were aided to escape to Canada. We're now headed out to Beartown into an area known as Beartown, and this is the longest driving clip, so feel free to skip ahead if you'd like, but I just wanted to show how far out this area is and the somewhat treacherous roads I took to get to this area, and I will tell you more about why I wanted to show that when we arrive. We've arrived at Beartown, which, as you can see, is a small ski resort that is closed this season due to the current circumstances. There was once a settlement in Beartown, which was named in accordance with the prevalence of bears in the area at the time. A quote I've cited below from the Beartown Bicentennial Committee is, quote, "There used to be many colored people living in Beartown. It was a haven for Negro refugees escaping from the South by way of the Underground Railroad, end quote. So this likely was an area where black people once inhabited and settled, which is why I wanted to show just how far this is from civilization. Another quote that demonstrates some of the people that once lived in this area was, quote, "The colored people who lived on this road were slaves of African birth and were brought to Beartown by Judge Treadwell in 1793 when he and his family moved from Smithtown, Long Island. These slaves were later manumitted and some stayed on," end quote. We have reached our final destination, formerly known as, quote, Negro Hill, which runs on the boundary line between Beartown and Shazy. On the south side of the road, the colored people lived. Obviously, it is because of their presence that the road got its name, end quote. I just wanted to show how treacherous this road is. This is no longer maintained by the highway department in the winter, so it is definitely very dangerous out here to be on by yourself, but I just wanted to show how far we are from the center of town and really pretty much all forms of civilization, and this is the areas that formerly enslaved people once lived in this area. In honor of Black History Month, please consider donating to one of these organizations. A couple are local to the area, and then some are national. And I would love if you shared your thoughts below with what you thought about this video, if you learned anything new, and definitely if you visit any of these locations, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.